Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Blatstein, the founder and physician of Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. Today's YouTube is going to be life lessons, the 5 best things to do after you're indicted. I guess 6. The first thing is don't get indicted. And so it's not going to be easy. I've been through it, and so have many others. You may have a loved one, or possibly it's yourself. And if you're a physician, then you definitely are not alone, because the Department of Justice has partnered up with HHS, and so they have their own individual strike force that is going after doctors and healthcare systems, if you will. Today is June 27th, and so this week actually will be releasing a article to LinkedIn, which will be dealing with the Department of Justice going after or their white collar strike force and their partnership with Health and Human Services. But being in healthcare, you're definitely at this point in time under their microscope. So what happens if you're hearing rumors, possibly you get a target letter, or they're going to Fed show up at your front door, the FBI? Well, if you don't know it already, it's in my website, but for transparency, I was convicted of a felony a little under 20 years ago. I was grateful that in 2010, I did get my license to practice restored in full. But let me tell you, I mean, I was a mess. I was in disbelief. I thought they had the wrong address. I was not good. I definitely wasn't the best client, and I was not making the best decisions at any point in time. So I'll start by saying that whatever I did at the time was wrong. And one of the major reasons I have subsequently transitioned from patient care to working with all of you is because I felt that there was a need, because I definitely was not I was not guided in the best direction. I had the number and name of one attorney, but I probably could have interviewed and better off interviewing others. He was a ex-US prosecutor, AUSA. I was panicky. There's no excuses. I'm not a drinker, really, but I took, the time when after they came in my house, there was like 20 guys, girls, women, men, I don't even remember if they had their guns out, but they went through my house. I showered there. They had to stand in my bathroom while I took a shower. Then they went to my practice. They were already in the office. They were taking, I don't remember. I know they took my computer out of my home. I think they took the computers out of work. I don't recall. They probably did. I had patients there. It was embarrassing to me, to the staff. I'm apologizing to everybody, but it was just a mess. And, while I kept the patients over time, I just had to resign myself to begin to slowly shut down the practice and transfer patients. And eventually I found myself drinking about a case of wine a week. And that, I'm not a drinker, but I was at the time. I had to sell the house. I mean, I sold everything. I had to liquidate everything I had. And so these were not the best decisions out there. I had conversations with colleagues and friends that said that they had recommended I do, certain things or call certain attorneys, and it just I was listening, not paying attention. And so we're going to get into the 5 things. So what are the 5 things? In hindsight, they are initially, if you hadn't done this already, which you should, as soon as you begin to hear rumors, to start interviewing attorneys. And when you start talking to different attorneys, You want to know that they're practicing white collar attorneys, that they practice federal criminal defense, they practice in federal court, and that they're practicing and they have cases, example of cases similar to yours. Next is that you want to see if you can call some of their clients. I mean, they may have clients. I mean, in the federal system, once you get indicted or you hear rumors or get a target letter, 98% are going to go to prison. And so there's not a successful, if your attorney wants to go to trial or like mine did, agrees to appeal a part of the indictment or anything, what I should have asked is how successful he's been in the past or she has been in the past, because 98% of them fail. I was one of the ones that failed. But you want to go ahead and get referrals. You also want to read several of the sentencing memorandums. And it's true that these are all HIPAA protected. Well, I mean, if it is old school and it's on a piece of paper, they can take a black magic marker. If it's on a computer PDF, well, through a PDF, they can just redact it and take just black, they can go, the person will know what to do. But you can redact it and it'll put a black mark over it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that ask your attorney let me back up. Your attorney initially will have spoke after there's a guilty, if you've pled guilty, as soon as that has happened, your attorney will have already spoken with the prosecutor, and there's a litany of things that they are going to learn from the prosecutor, or not the prosecutor, the probation officer. They need to know the date of the pre-sentence interview. They need to know the date that the probation officer has to have their final official pre-sentence report, their dictation date, for that to have that into their supervisor. And they want to know all the documents that the probation officer needs. You want to know from your attorney what all those documents are. And as soon as you know that, you also want to let your attorney know that you're aware that a narrative can be written, a release plan can be written, character reference letters can be gotten, and an allocution can be written. And if you see recognition on your attorney's face is a good sign. If you see a smile, that's a great sign. And if you see a question mark on their face, get another attorney, because all of those things should be familiar. And at the pre-sentence interview at that time, while there's a lot of other information that I go through on another YouTube regarding what your attorney is learning from the probation officer, all the information that you are going to be gathering for your attorney, you want to have all of that complete and provided to your attorney, so that you should have about 3 months from the time that you have a guilty plea in, as 98% of those do, and the date of your pre-sentence interview. But a week or two before the interview, you want to have all that information to your attorney, and your attorney should have it to the probation officer. They can either have met in person, which is best. The attorney will have emailed all the information at one time so that nothing gets lost to the probation officer. And that probation officer, then these probation officers are overworked and have absolutely no time. And so they will appreciate getting all that information and being able to input it into their report at their convenience, so that by the time all of you meet, which is the probation officer, your attorney, and you at the interview, then it's a more relaxed environment, at least for them, for all of you to meet, so that they can ask questions of you, because now they will know almost everything about you. and you will have answered through all the information you've provided. So they will have filled out most of their report ahead of time. And it allows them to get to know you more personally. So at the end of that brief interview, they'll come away from that interview knowing that you're more prepared. And it will be a pleasant change for the probation officer. They will in turn pass that information on to the judge, because probation officers have the ear of the judge. And they also have the ability to make recommendations for the length of sentence and for placement and their opinion of you, the defendant. And so all of this can go to work in your favor. And so that's a good thing. And so into this pre-sentence report that they're going to now draft will be included your narrative, which is your story or autobiography, your release plan, which is what you plan to do. And judges want to know what your plan is to not come back to their courtroom again. Then you can also, they will weave into that how you explain your allocution, which is accepting responsibility, understanding remorse, and for the pain that you acknowledge that you have created to your victims. And so I can go into more, but that's a separate YouTube. But that's important because this is the most important meeting, at least for at this point in your life, and it will impact everything going forward. And so following this point, and before you get to the sentencing hearing, you will next have the opportunity to proofread the pre-sentence report. Because at the sentencing hearing, the judge is going to ask you if you've had a time to read it. And so I'm sure the judge asked me, and I just said yes, but I don't remember even seeing the pre-sentence report. So you want to read it and make sure everything is accurate. And that's a very big deal. Because while there may be reasons to correct a part of the pre-sentence report, that's another conversation. But everything up till this point, you don't want to go back to the probation officer and try and get something fixed, because it's expensive and it's time consuming, and it's a very big if on the part of the judge, your attorney, and the probation officer. You just don't want to go there. And so everything needs to be as accurate as it can be on the first pass through, meaning by the time that you and your attorney, 1 to 2 weeks before the interview, give everything to the probation officer, it should be perfect. Lastly, you're in the courtroom, and if you're prepared and the narrative is good and it's written well, and you have not been around enablers, you've been with people that are experts, are good at mitigating efforts regarding your sentence, and you've done well with your release plan and allocution. You don't have to be perfect. You can be nervous. Your attorney is going to ask if it's okay to make a placement request according to a program need, which is already in your pre-sentence report. So what's going to be a program need or other reason? Program need can be a medical need. It can be something like the drug program, which is called RDAP. It can be another type of program called the Resolve program, which is for men and women now who've been through some sort of PTSD type of trauma. And if the judge says, okay, then your attorney should make just a recommendation for one prison only by name. And if the judge says, okay, then your attorney last can go ahead and say that is it okay to put in the order that if the Bureau of Prisons cannot make that placement request, can they notify the court in writing as to why they were unable to do so. And if the judge is agreeable, then you've all done about as good a job as you can do. Because after that, if the Bureau of Prisons has the final say on everything. And last, to make everything go about as smooth as it can go, let me save this. Let me share the screen rather, if I can. I'm going to bring this down here and let's see if this works. I'm hoping this works. This is the website. I think you're here. If you can see this, and oh, okay. So this is Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. There's the website. I'm going to come down here. And here we have, we provide this, at least I provide this for each of the clients, and we'll give you a personal prep packet that's for presentation to the court that includes the programs that support your placement request. So in this example, I'm going to use Alderson. And so when this pulls up, it takes time. And so here you'll see Alderson. And it'll come up with a little bit of information in front of it. And here it comes with the programs. So it has the Resolve program that it has. I'll also check that it also has the drug program. And so all of this can be passed to the judge, and hopefully it can become part of the to the pre-sentence report as an addendum or as a statement of reasons. Plus, it has the other programs. These are supposed to be available at all facilities. But due to different problems that the COVID had and there's staffing shortages, while all these programs may be available, there may not be enough teachers to staff them. So there may be waiting lists. So all of this is kind of a catch-22, if you will. But I go through here, and so this is all the programs that you can see. I pick Alderson because it's easier to show. It's available at Alderson. Foundation or FIT program is another one. Program is Alderson. The drug program comes up. And it is also over here. You can see Alderson. And these programs are now it'll run through them, but Resolve program is another one, Alderson. And so these are the programs that will give the judge in the court confidence in making that placement recommendation, if you will, to the court. So I hope that you have found this helpful, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to tune in and listen to this YouTube. I hope you have a safe day, and thank you for listening. Have a good day.